You're a high school athlete. You want to get recruited, get a scholarship, and play collegiate sports. Do you know what the academic requirements are to get recruited and gain initial eligibility? Do you know what you'll need to score on the ACT or SAT test to be eligible at the NCAA Division I level, at the Division II level, at the NAIA level? Do you know what the sliding scale that is used by the NCAA is? Do you know the difference between the Division I and the Division II sliding scales? Well, stay tuned and find out the answers to these and many more questions in this week's episode as we examine the next ProProCal quality, your academics. Welcome back to the You Can Do More YouTube channel. I'm Coach Floyd, and each week I share videos designed to help athletes, parents, and coaches better understand and navigate the collegiate recruiting process. Videos that will help you get recruited. When college recruiters come through the door of your high school, either physically or virtually, they will have with them a checklist. It may be an actual document that they're using to check off your attributes, or it may just be a checklist that they have in their brain. It will include many of the qualities that we've already talked about. Character, check. Coachable, check. Speed, check. Explosiveness, check. Playing speed, check. Quickness, check. Eligibility, question mark. If any of these check marks are missing, you are making yourself less remarkable, less marketable. And that especially is the case with your academics and your initial eligibility status. If a college recruiter has several athletes on their list that are all equally good players physically, then the player that has already taken and has scored a qualifying score on the standardized test, either the ACT or SAT, has a jump on the competition. The college coach knows without question they can proceed recruiting this student athlete without fear of a bad surprise down the road. And here's the deal. With many of these ProProCal qualities, there's some wiggle room, a gray area. For example, a head coach may say that they want a defensive back that runs a minimum of a 4.5 second 40-yard dash. But they have a prospect that only runs a 4.6. But every other quality on their checklist is awesome. Great. Well, they may still take a look at, recruit, and offer that defensive back that only runs a 4.6. But when it comes to academic eligibility, there is no gray area. There is no wiggle room. If you're not going to be academically eligible, that coach is more than likely on to the next prospect, no matter how remarkable any or all of your other qualities are. One of the very first stops the college recruiter will make after visiting with your high school coach and evaluating your film will be either checking your status with the NCAA clearinghouse or NAIA clearinghouse, or actually making a trip to your guidance counselor's office to check on your initial eligibility. One piece that determines your initial eligibility is your test score on either the ACT or SAT college placement test. In order to determine your eligibility your freshman year in an NCAA Division I or Division II school, the NCAA uses a sliding scale that takes into account both your core GPA with a minimum of 16 units and your test score. Basically, the higher core GPA you have, the lower test score you could have, and vice versa, and still be eligible. This entire sliding scale can be found at the NCAA Clearinghouse site. I'll put a link down below to that site and a link so you can download this sliding scale. For example, to be a full qualifier in an NCAA Division I institution, if your core GPA, and we'll be talking about what exactly constitutes a core course next week, but if your core GPA is a 3.55 or above, you could have an ACT sum, which is adding together your reading, English, math, science subscores, as low as a 37 or an SAT score of 400 and still be eligible. If your core GPA was only a 2.3, which is the lowest GPA you could have and still be eligible, your freshman year, your ACT sum would have to be a 75 or SAT score a 980. In an NCAA Division II school, with a core GPA of 3.3 and above, you could still have an ACT sum as low as 37 or an SAT score of 400 and still be eligible. If your core GPA was a 2.2, which is the lowest GPA you could have and still be eligible at an NCAA Division II university, your freshman year, your ACT sum would have to be above 70 or SAT score of 920. For initial eligibility in an NAIA school, and remember that's a different governing body, You must have a minimum composite score of 18 on the ACT or 860 on the SAT. In addition to eligibility, for many student athletes, a good test score can have additional positive results. Many, if not most, FCS, NCAA Division II, and NAIA schools will have academic scholarship levels that will be based on, among other things, your ACT or SAT test scores. These academic scholarships are separate and different from athletic awards and often range from $500 up to a full tuition award. Also, remember, athletic scholarships below the FBS level are often divided up into partial awards. Take a look at episode 6, expanding the pool. So it's quite conceivable that if you score well on your college entrance exam, that this academic aid could be added to a partial athletic award, thereby increasing your total aid package. I recommend that athletes take the college entrance exam early and often. There's no penalty for taking it more than one time. Your best score will be used. From my experience, most students score better after their initial test for a number of reasons. Students often get more comfortable with the test and testing environment, and often you will have taken additional coursework that will help you in sections of the test, particularly math and science. The only drawback is the cost of taking the test more than once. But if retaking the test increases your aid or helps your eligibility, then it's money very well spent. Also, if you take the test early and see you need additional help, such as an ACT or SAT prep course, and many high schools and communities offer these, then you have time to do that before your clock starts counting down. Well, what is early? I would have to say after your sophomore year if possible, and at the latest after your junior year. I also recommend that you do not take the test on a Saturday that falls in your competitive season. You don't want to have a football or basketball game late Friday night, then have to get up Saturday morning to take the SAT test. Here are the schedules of the 2017-2018 testing dates. You can find links to these dates down below in the description of this video. I will also put a link to this, the NCAA Guide for the College-Bound Student Athlete. This is an excellent resource, and I highly recommend that you download it. If you don't get anything else out of this episode, except that you go and download this, it will be worthwhile. Well, that's going to wrap up this week's episode. As always, thanks for watching, and thanks for allowing me to join you and your family in this, your recruiting journey. That means a lot to me. If you got something out of this episode, give it a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe to the channel. It's easy and free. And share it with your teammates and colleagues. There are links to all my social media accounts down below in the description box of this video. Keep working hard on the practice field, in the classroom, and in the halls of your school to become a remarkable, recruitable student athlete. Come back next week for the second part of this episode on academics, when we discuss what are core courses and also discuss registering for the NCAA Clearinghouse.